Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and gender fluids of every denomination, and welcome back to the boiler room. Yay! It's 3 episodes, so episode 3. It's exciting.
The mangrove swamp of death.
The trilogy, you know.
I'm so glad we're down here and in the cool.
That's it. I was going to say, as the world boils around us, so like we're here in the boiler room of a slightly knackered Victorian submarine. I am your host, Kit Cox, and I am here with my co-hosts, Katie Ward.
Hello.
And Mark Jenkins.
Hello.
And as you can guess from the fact that Mark still gets to be suave and sophisticated, it means that we still don't have our resident wizard with us. So, quick recovery, please, to our resident wizard, and Rich Borman will hopefully be with us for next week's podcast. He said next week, last week.
No, yeah, he did actually, yeah.
So divination is not the wizardry tricks that he's good at.
A wizard is never late. So let's remember that.
Okay, a wizard is never late. We have all just been 3 weeks early.
Yes.
So we're here for more of what's turning out to be the anarchic telling of literature and steampunk and horror with no magic as of yet. But there's been some fantastic things happen since last week. There's been lots of events, has there not, Katie?
There has been lots of lovely events.
There has.
Shall I talk about them?
You could talk about them in a minute. You could talk about them in a minute. I'll let you talk about them in your section.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, there has been some rumblings and some stirrings I hear in the world of H.P. Lovecraft.
That was just the toilet, I think.
Was that just the toilet?
That was just the toilet.
Oh, dear.
Yes, there has been movements and perturbation. Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's been big words used, big words. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is also an announcement from me this week because I've got something special coming up too. Oh, it's exciting.
Dirty boy.
Very, very exciting. But no talk of wands this week. I was stopped. I was on a train the other day, and while sitting on the train, I had a man plonk himself down beside me and tell me that he was very pleased with the way that we handled magic, as he is a practicing pagan. So there you go. So apparently only two podcasts in at that stage, and already I'm attracting weirdos on the train.
You were doing that anyway, though.
Do I know
really?
this weirdo? I think I
I think you probably do know this weirdo, because for them to recognise me, just seeing, he is a jolly good chap. Yeah, very, very nice guy. So anyway, we are here out of the heat, in the cool of our Victorian submarine, and I am going to throw the floor straight open to the lovely, the delicious, the dressed as an X-Man this evening, even though one day this should be a YouTube definitely video, because I think so. Just so we can watch what Katie's wearing. So actually, maybe we should do that. So let's get everyone to describe their outfits tonight. So we'll start with Mark. So it doesn't seem sexist. We're going straight with the lady. But Mark, describe your outfit for us this evening.
Well, on account of the coolness of the situation, I'm wearing my Kurt Russell outfit from The Thing. So I have a big furry parka and a Miskatonic University hoodie, only because of the weather, of course, and a pair of long johns, cat flap and all that.
It's brilliant, and of course I'm dressed as a British Admiralty naval officer with full regalia, and Katie, describe your outfit to us, please.
Bohemian.
Yeah, I am in my Bohemian thing, and I'm wearing a corset despite the scorchingly hot weather, and also the walks that we have to do around the sub, and also a nice bandana to finish off the look, and I am wearing an X-Men bolero because I couldn't find my non-X-Men bolero.
I did. Because that's a trouble we all have. So
Yeah.
like when I was grabbing, when it was really hot this morning and I decided to grab a pair of shorts, I was thinking, should I wear the X-Men shorts or
the non-X-Men
or the
shorts.
non-X-Men
Always
shorts?
go for the X-Men option. Always go for the X-Men option.
Definitely the way forward. So, Katie Ward, you have no introduction to your bit with music or anything, so da 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 steampunk.
Yeah. Wow, I wasn't quite expecting that. Yeah, as you said, we had some exciting events. We were at Broadstairs Dickens Festival, which went lovely, and we had Artists in the Woods, which we spoke about last weekend.
And we met the lovely Queen Victoria. Sorry to interject there.
Yes, we did meet
Wow.
a very lovely Queen Victoria.
I didn't go to this event, by the way. It was
No.
Father's Day.
Yeah, and it was very, very, very warm. And yeah, on Father's Day,
Stupidly
incredibly stupidly warm. So we all decided to put a medieval tent up and go around in pirate gear. So,
Yay!
Yay, that's the perfect.
How close to the sea were you?
Really, like we were in Faversham, so.
Oh, so quite close.
Yeah,
So, that's
but in
all
a
right.
woodland area,
Yeah.
so not close at all, really,
No.
in the woods. So we had that, which was lovely. But I wanted to go back for when we talking about in the first episode about a description of steampunk, because I found my favourite meme.
Ooh.
I wanted to read it out
Wow.
and try and not stumble my words. But
Ladies and gentlemen, you hear it here first.
Louise's favourite meme.
it is Louise's favourite meme. And my favourite meme too. So,
I'm in deep voice
okay, sorry, Kit.
The final and definitive description of steampunk.
It is a pseudo-melange of ideas, notions and possibilities intersecting a neo-apocalyptic dystopian future within quasi-utopian retro-technological and ideological society, generally while fighting Cthulhu from airships while wearing corsets and goggles. Does this help clarify the meaning of steampunk for you?
No.
Have you seen Wild Wild West?
Yes.
Yes.
So steampunk. Wiki wiki wah wah.
Wiki wiki wah
I
wah
hate that
woo.
Brilliant. Oh, so that's your new theme tune.
That's my wiki wiki wah
Yeah.
wah woo.
Hate that
Yeah,
film.
excellent. But then, so that kind of brought me. I saw that again, and I
Right.
thought, because when I normally describe steampunk to people, I always bring up the literature side of things. So like H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. But then when you talk to some people about that, they have no idea. Especially like some of the younger generation don't know.
The younger generation who weren't
Kids.
around in the time
Yeah.
of Wells and
Yes.
Verne.
But they have no idea who that is, like who, or they might have some like
You mean
notion.
they're uneducated.
No, not uneducated, but just because it's like a different time.
Callow.
It's a time
Naive.
gap, isn't it? It's a generation gap. And so I was trying to think of other ways of describing, because you can't even say Wild Wild West because that was quite a few years ago now. And
It was.
And so some people haven't.
Some kids
said
today
it.
don't even know who Will Smith is.
Really?
Oh, I wish for that.
Oh my god.
I wish for that ignorance.
Oh, yeah. I like Will Smith. What's wrong? He now seems to be contractually obliged to have his shirt off in films, which is all right by me. He's a fit
he's
guy.
a buff bloke, isn't
So-
he?
I
Naked
like
Will,
content
naked
in my
Will
films,
Smith.
and that's not the content I like.
Wow.
So I wanted to kind of open up the board a little bit and
Oh.
ask, what do you think is a nice sort of modern, I don't know, modern piece of media or modern reference you could use to describe steampunk if you needed to add a reference to your conversation? Because I was thinking references help when you have to try and answer that question.
Right, yeah. I would say if you're people that watch things like Netflix, Amazon, sort of like Sky, if you've got cable channels, then I think you could probably say, is it the Murdoch Mysteries? They're quite steampunk.
I've not seen that, actually.
Well, there you go.
Oh, there you
Maybe
go.
not a good reference.
No,
then.
maybe,
So,
well, yeah, it might be.
the Murdoch Mysteries. They're quite steampunk. Or you could go for something. I don't know. What else has been quite steampunk in recent
I'll
years?
just throw it on to Mark.
Mark, what do you think?
Well, there's first there. I thought I'd add that before anyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, I've not at all.
You've not at all?
No.
Okay.
Don't go quiet though. It is a podcast.
Yeah. It's not. Don't worry, it's not broken, guys.
I'm not sure.
Mark has gone into thoughtful face mode.
Oh yes. Well, I'll move back to my moment if you want to continue.
Okay.
I'll come back to it.
I just suddenly thought of Warehouse 13.
I also don't know what that is.
Wow. Wow. Can I just
wasn't
point out?
keen.
I think I'm the oldest person in this room, and I've got the youngest reference. Is that what you're trying to say?
You're not
Maybe.
the oldest person in the room.
I was going to say, oh yeah, Mark's 50.
Oh, Mark. Yeah. Oh, of course he is. Mark's
It's
turned
just
the
I
big.
look so much youthful. I painted that painting and I've never turned back.
So there you go. Now I want to get the Dorian Gray reference now, if that's the point.
Yeah. But I was thinking Doctor Who, modern, like not it's not hugely steampunk, but there's enough of.
I think that's the problem. I think people are so quick to jump on something and say, oh, that's a bit steampunk, or that's did you see the steampunk episode? That they then start referring to things as using that as a thing by saying, oh, Doctor Who's quite steampunk. It's not. Doctor Who is science fiction.
Yeah.
It's got the occasional cover, but not the content.
Yeah,
it's not the
exactly. Yeah, occasionally they go back to. I mean, and also
it has the style of it sometimes.
And they go, oh, but it was a Victorian episode. And you go, well, that's because he's a time traveller. He goes into Victorian. The only thing that makes it have any sci-fi is the fact a man from the future is in the past, which means that he doesn't have Victorian steampunk gadgets. He actually has future gadgets. He just happens to have taken them back to the past. I don't think that's steampunk enough for me.
I think maybe Inspector Gadget is closest, weirdly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Inspector Gadget,
that's
which
probably my one.
Which is possibly also another outdated reference. So what we're basically saying is the 18th century sort of like genre of steampunk needs an up-to-date reference.
Yes. But people don't know. But then so many people do know what steampunk is now, which I found.
True.
So,
I think that's it. I think you're more likely to have people say that's a bit steampunk.
Yeah.
Than not.
Or through the Dickens Festival. Oh, the steampunks are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, you've gone to a couple of events. Oh, I've done my first
Yes,
Boom.
I knew there would be one.
You've gone to a couple of events. They are Artists in the Woods.
Yes, we had that.
Or Artists in the Wood. It's Woods.
Organised by the lovely bakers.
Yes.
Organised by the
awesome
lovely
Baker
bakers.
family.
And you've also gone to Broadstairs as well. Tell us Broadstairs very quickly as you've gone over time.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Broadstairs, it was our first year getting invited to that event because we've been doing the Rochester Dickens for 5 years, and from there we got invited this year to come along. They have it every year. They almost lost it, actually. They almost lost the festival, and a lovely lady. It's been
80 years it's been going.
For anybody that didn't see that on the podcast, that was Mark holding up a amount of fingers for the years that it's been going. So that's for all those people at home that are watching this radio.
Yes.
I was giving Katie a hint. Sorry.
I know.
80 years.
It has been going on for 80 years, and they almost lost it. But the lovely Denise brought it back and thought it'd be nice to have some
80
years. The Broadstairs Dickens
I've
Festival
got that
has
many
been
fingers.
going on.
Wow.
I know, and it's a shame that they almost lost it. But I'm glad Denise stepped in to.
Well done, Denise.
Well done, Denise. Awesome job.
Okay, so that's Broadstairs. They've kept it. It's been going 80 years. If you've not seen it yet, so like you're behind the times. We could spoil other things while we're here that have been going on for a long time. People don't know the entity. The Butler did it in the Mousetrap. There you go.
Oh no.
No one needs to go and see it now. So if you've not gone to Broadstairs now in the last 80 years, go so it doesn't lose itself. Tell us about Artists in the Woods.
Artists in the Woods was lovely. It was, again, I keep saying it's very warm, but it was very warm. But there was loads of stallholders, and there were artists doing art in the wood, and there was lots of static exhibitions. A lot of it was run by the Scouts. There was a massive dragon called Flame, which Mark is lovingly miming at the moment. So, and there were pirates as well, which again Mark is lovingly miming. But there was pirates, and then we were Sky Pirates. Great Interpretations with being Sky Pirates, and we were also running activities for kids. So we're making little cardboard parrots for them to have round on their wrists.
Brilliant.
It was a lovely event.
So we informed you all about that last week, guys. So if you missed it, it's your own fault. You were told, and those were all the great things that were on. So, Katie, what is coming up in the world of steampunk?
What is coming up? It's a quiet sort of it's a quiet month really. July's quite quiet, but we have.
I think everyone finds that.
Yeah.
July quite quiet. Not
Too
much.
hot to move.
Yeah.
Too hot to move. But we've decided to have a punk nick. So
A punknik?
A punknik in the White Horse Park just on Detling Hill, and that'll just be like a sort of casual event where we will be bringing our picnics and probably doing some familiar flinging and things in a park.
For familiar flinging.
But our next big one will be Sheppey Pirate Weekend, which is the 5th and 6th of August. And
So quite some way off.
Yes, but
Okay.
we need to plan stuff.
Okay, so stuff needs to be planned.
Yeah.
I'm sure if there's other stuff that comes up,
Oh
we
yeah,
will talk
things
about
will,
it.
yeah,
in
we'll
the time.
things will come up.
So thank you very much, Katie Ward, with your rounding up of the steampunk events of the last week and what is coming up in the future. So that was steampunk. So we shall go on to the wonderful Mark Jenkins, who is a handsome man. It has to be said. I think for radio, he is definitely the man you need.
I've got a face for radio, that's true.
So we are going into the spooky world of horror.
I thought, Birmingham. For this week's podcast, I thought I'd look at the case of Charles Dexter Ward, which is a story written by H.P. Lovecraft and was written in 1927. It's a novella. It actually has 51,500 words. It was published posthumously as an abridged version in Weird Magazine, May and July 1941. This one isn't his longest story. It's not his last or his first, but I like it. And one of the reasons is because it's the first one that's actually been turned into a film.
Which film?
It was The Haunted Palace, starring the amazing Vincent Price.
Yeah, I do love a bit of Vincent.
Vincent's excellent.
My friend Vera Day told me that Vincent Price made the most amazing pate, and before
excellent cook.
And before every take on I think Mask of the Red Death or whatever, Vincent Price would make sure that all the scream queens on set had eaten properly, and he would do this by serving up pate on toast, homemade pate on toast. So there you go.
Published author on the culinary arts.
He is, yeah.
Epicurean.
Sorry, I interrupted. I assided.
The case of Charles Dexter Ward. The setting is Providence, Rhode Island in 1928, so it's contemporary to its writing, with some flashbacks to the 18th century Providence and Salem village. The story features the themes of cosmic horror, insanity, and hidden inherited evil. The story is told retrospectively of a man called Charles Dexter Ward that has apparently escaped from a mental hospital. The man Ward had discovered that he has an ancestor, Joseph Querwin, that he hasn't heard of. He attempts to trace details of this relative and finds out that he has a reputation for being evil and a wizard. Further research uncovered that Kerwin has a disused property which Ward visits and finds a concealed painting depicting Kerwin that shows Kerwin and Ward are nearly identical. Ward also discovers a manuscript seemingly meant for him, written 157 years previously by Kerwin, which also contains a magical incantation. Ward delves into witchcraft from then on. There are moments that the reader shares with the character as they go searching for information and make some horrific discoveries. The atmosphere is tense and foreboding. Although not included in the canon Cthulhu mythos stories by H.P. Lovecraft as defined by Lynn Carter, for me it's the same universe as it includes the Necronomicon, Yog-Sothoth, and it mentions the family names of characters from other canon stories. It's in its workings of utmost evil that are taking place, which only pale when contrasted against the actions of the Whately family in the Dunwich Horror. For me, all of the characters in Lovecraft stories are closest to the one to being Lovecraft himself. It is Charles Dexter Ward. Ward is 10 years younger than Lovecraft, however. Both are antiquarians and scholars. Both are from Providence, Rhode Island. Neither of them finished college. Ward refused so that he could do his own research. A description of Ward was that one may picture him as yet as he was in those days, tall, slim and blonde, with studious eyes and a slight stoop, dressed somewhat carelessly and having a dominant impression of harmless awkwardness rather than attractiveness. Lean, pallid visage, a thin, calm, undistinguished face. The adult Lovecraft was gaunt with dark eyes set in a very pale face, because he rarely went out before nightfall. He also perhaps would consider himself unattractive. He had a slightly lantern jaw. Constitutionally, a scholar and hermit, Lovecraft was quite solitary also. Ward's stories end also start at an asylum. Lovecraft's parents both die in an asylum, and he may get expected to go there himself, as it's one of his themes of inherited illness and evil. It's the first H.P. Lovecraft story made into a film, The Haunted Palace in 1963, directed by Roger Corman, starring Vincent Price, Deborah Paget, Lon Chaney Jr. It was credited as an Edgar Allan Poe story, as he had higher profile and used a Poe poem, but the majority of the film was based loosely on the case of Charles Dexter Ward and the Shadow over Innsmouth. The story's timeline was shifted from being set to 1875 and having flashbacks to 1765, perhaps for the luxurious costumes. The events are played out at the fictional town created by Lovecraft called Arkham, Massachusetts. It was filmed again as The Resurrected in 1992, directed by Dan O'Banion, starring Chris Sarandon and John Terry. The storyline is brought up to date, although having modern flashbacks to an earlier period. The added element of a private detective helps drive the plotline. However, it finds a little cliched, perhaps, of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing.
You can do it. Come on.
I can do it.
You can do that thing you do.
This is perhaps because of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game plot lines. And if anyone wants to know what Lynn Carter's canon Cthulhu mythos books are, it's The Nameless City from 1921, The Hound from 1922, The Festival from 1923, Call of Cthulhu from 1926, The Dunwich Horror from 1928, Whisper in Darkness 1930, Dreams in the Witch House 1932, At the Mountains of Madness 1931, The Shadow over Innsmouth 1931, Shadow Out of Time 1935, The Haunter of the Dark 1935, The Thing on the Doorstep 1933, and he also did a essay, History of the Necronomicon in 1927, and a poem, Fungi from Yugoth in 1930, and those are the ones they consider canon.
Wow. Oh, got that bird in there again. Hello.
Hurrah!
So, I don't understand. Why does that woman get to clarify what's the Cthulhu mythos?
The gentleman, Lynn.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. My apologies.
He was one of the authors that sort of had the similar themes. He did lots of fantasy ones, and some of the fantasy ones you might recognise. Let's see. He did Sword and Sorcery, similar to Edgar Rice Burroughs and Robert E. Howard. He wrote...
But why does he get to clarify what H.P. Lovecraft... I don't understand why he gets to clarify what H.P. Lovecraft is canon and what H.P. Lovecraft isn't canon.
Because it comes up as a topic when they go for a learned person who knew them to actually try and describe it.
I see.
Because he wrote 70 or 80 short stories, and they try and which ones are of this theme.
I always find it weird what's canon and what's not canon. I mean, going back to that Doctor Who thing of earlier, there is, in my mind, Richard E. Grant would have made a fantastic Doctor, and Richard E. Grant basically played the Doctor twice. He did it for Comic Relief, where he did the fantastic line, "If I'm lick-faced gorgeous," and he also did it as there was an animation which was available online, and the animation was clearly of Richard E. Grant, and Richard E. Grant voiced it. So why? I'm sure someone will tell me. He was also as the great intelligence. But the thing is I don't understand why that's not canon. I'm sure someone will tell us. There is a wonderful man called David Bickerstaff who puts me right on all these things. But I have lots of Whovians amongst my friends who I'm sure will tell us. Now, we are obviously getting close to time once again. How we are going to fit in an extra host on this show, I've got no idea when we manage to waffle through.
And Richard, what would you like to say? Magic. Thank you, Richard.
That's lovely. I was going to say. Sorry. So we should look forward to Richard coming along next time. Now, obviously, I'm going to throw in my little piece of wonderful knowledge, which is the fact that I have a new book coming out. The book will be coming out on the 1st of July, so it's only 9 days away, and the book is a book that I've been very, very proud of all the books I've ever written. This has been my favourite. It's a little bit more adult than some of the books I've written in the past. It's got a sexy scene in it, violence and swearing. So unfortunately, not one for the children. And I think the title might give away the fact that it's not one for the children, because the book is called Morningwood. And I shall now read for you the blurb from the back of the book. So, beneath the streets of trendy 60s London, an old and very cold war is about to bubble to the surface. Ancient feuds between creatures long regarded as myth threaten to spill back into the world of humans. Is it finally time for the guardian of the early morning woods to step out of retirement? A ritual killing leads to a roller coaster world of espionage, brutal scooter gangs and mythical worlds as Mulberry Gale, investigator with a point to prove, decides to call in a favour from one of the greatest protectors of humanity. Can Professor Early Morningwood, yes, he's fully aware, throw off the shackles of his self-imposed exile and save not just one, but two worlds from the machinations of an old foe? From the sleepy spires of Oxford to the trendy streets of 60s London and out into the wilds of Scotland, it's time to find out if this old goat is a myth or a legend.
Woo! Excitement!
So this will be coming out on 1st of July. It's being released as a very special treat for my father, who wants me to get as many books out before he dies, I think, so you can read them all. So this is being released on the 1st of July, which is his birthday, and the book is available from lulu.com and is obviously published by lulu.com, but also published for Oak Moth Books, which is my publishers, so it will be available all over the globe, and you will be able to read it and then tell me stories. So it's, as I said, I've brought my books up to date. My God, I've left the Victorian era. I've left space. I've left being under the water.
Oh my God.
I'm in 60s London where the crays hang out and nightclub. What are you trying to say? Not up to date. 60s London.
It is up to date, but then,
Yeah. It's modern history.
Yes.
People I know were alive in the
Yes,
60s.
yes.
You know who you are.
Mark.
Oh. But true.
Yeah.
So there you go. There is new stuff coming out. There are new books coming out. It was nice to do an announcement on here in the boiler room.
Coming out on ebook or actual?
Actual book.
Oh!
Actual. Actual book. Actual proper published book once again. My books for a while have been on ebook, for people that don't know. And that's purely because I was waiting for these books to come out again, the books I put a lot more effort in to come out, and unfortunately the world of publishing is glacial in its fastness, which is why I did ebooks to try to fill in that blank between the next book coming out. So yeah, this is a proper physical. You can hold it in your hand and smell it with your nose. You can lick the pages if you so wish, but they may become sticky. Also, there's a sexy scene, so who knows? Maybe they'll become sticky anyway.
I do like a stiff binding.
Do you like a stiff binding? Yeah. So Morningwood. So look out for it. I'm sure. So like there are many. I just like the idea of being able to go into a bookshop and saying, "Excuse me, do you have Morningwood?" Because I'm basically a child.
And they say, come with me.
Yeah, a rude child. Has Morningwood come in?
I hear Morningwood's popular lately.
It's so popular it went back out and then it came back in again.
Is it back in stock?
So Morningwood by Kit Cox. If that doesn't get misfiled, I don't know what ever will.
Available in a brown paper bag.
So so there you go. I'm doing more adult books. So for my fans, I mean most of my fans are adults anyway, but I do have a lot of children that read my books as well, teenagers and youngsters. So it's nice to actually do something.
Well-rounded book audience.
A well-rounded book audience, I do. My youngest fan is now 8, and my oldest fan is in their 90s, I do believe. So a good audience. Anyway, we are getting to the end of time. Is there anything else you would like to add, Katie?
I don't think so, other than Wiki Wiki Wawa. Just that last of Wiki Wiki Wawa.
I think that's. Have you got any you would like to add, or maybe have you come up with an answer to the question that was asked at the beginning of the show, Mark Jenkins?
I gave it to you already.
Did you?
Inspector Gadget.
Oh yeah, Inspector
you
Gadget.
did,
Yeah.
He was busy fiddling with his equipment in the back. Didn't you remember?
I clearly forgot to pay
Well, I
attention to
might
you.
use that now.
The Inspector Horror. There we go. We found your theme tune. So we don't have a theme tune. We still don't have a theme tune. So I think it's probably time for us all to say goodbye. So from my co-host Katie Ward.
Bye.
And Mark Jenkins.
Goodbye.
And my good self Kit Cox. Thank you very much. Coming to the boiler room once again, and we shall see you in a week. Bye bye.